It's time to take our embossing folders to the next level. I've got 2 fun ideas to share with you today. Hello and welcome to another Take 2 with Therese at altenew, and today I'm going to be making 2 cards using the Imaginary Jungle 3D embossing folder. And this is a lot of fun. It's quite a unique design, and it does have a set of coordinating simple colouring stencils. And there's 3 stencils in the set. I'm going to start by using the stencils because what I thought I could do today was create a watercolour panel using the woodless watercolour pencils and the stencils. Now this is something I've never tried before. I have used watercolour with stencils before with success. The thing is, if you like everything to be perfect, this is probably not the technique for you, but hold on. I have another idea coming up real soon that you will probably prefer, but it's nice to be able to stretch our supplies. I'm using some of the watercolour paper pad here, and I have cut it bigger than I need because I'm not sure which section of the card which section of the panel I'm going to be using. But basically what I'm doing is holding the stencils in place, adding the pencil colour, a few colours at a time, and then I'm going to come in with the water. Because I've added multiple colours at once, I don't need to add a lot of water, so this technique is good in the fact that it does dry quite quickly, so it does give you time to head on to the next stencil so you're not hanging around waiting for too long. The other thing you could do is use your heat tool to dry it. And the great thing about adding a few colours at once too, it gives you that variation of colour really easily. Actually, I was surprised at how easy this all came together. I didn't add too much water to my brush, but I wanted to add enough that it kind of does break up the pencil marks that are on the cardstock, but I was trying not to be too pedantic with this. And I have got all of the colours that I've used today and all the products that I've used linked in the description below, but you can also find them linked at the blog. And there so I chose a couple of different colours for the flowers and used 2 tones on each flower, a darker one on the base and a lighter one sort of more for the top and the centre. Now I could have come in and added a 3rd colour. You can do whatever you want. I used the pencils to sort of trace the inside of the stencil and only sort of use the water to blend out the watercolours together. I love how vibrant these colours are. They really make me happy. Now the flower stencil was really easy to line up, but the bird stencil, I really wanted to make sure that it was going to fit perfectly with the actual 3D embossing folder, because it was going to be kind of the focal point of the card. So I made sure that I used the embossing folder, basically held it over top and worked out where the stencil needed to be. And I did exactly the same thing when I painted the bird, but I did have, because it was 2 layers, I did have to wait for it to dry before I could come in and add the darker colours for the wing. Right, so here's the fun bit. We get to actually 3D emboss this whole panel now. So it's as simple as lining up the pattern with the 3D embossing folder, and you can see there that the altenew branding is on the front. That means that that's going to be the embossed side. That's the one that you want facing up. It's easy to work this out because you've got the pattern there to guide you. I did take my time lining it up and did give it a spritz with some clear, clean water and then ran it through my Big Shot. My best sandwich is tab 2, the embossing folder, and just 1 plate. How sweet's that? Now see, I haven't actually coloured the dots as yet. I just wanted to add a couple of details. I did use a fine liner pen for the eye and one of the artist markers to add some on the embossed areas on the wing of the bird, I just added the feather markings in. And with the dots on this folder, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with them, and I didn't want to paint them with watercolor because I was worried about it seeping. I cut the panel down, added it to the front of a side fold card, and then decided to add a fine frame from the cover die, and this is from the brushed gold. And I did make sure to match the white for the sentiment so that it is the same watercolor cardstock that's on the base. And I did add a few sequins. They're the satin gold ones, and they worked perfectly with the brushed gold cardstock. Alright, so we're on to the second design now, and more geared towards the clean and simple perfectionist people out there. I have got some Frozen Delights inks. Now, aren't these divine? They are beautiful pastel colours, and it might look like I'm not adding very much colour. You're right, it does take time, but it's worth the effort, and it really didn't take very long at all. I'm using the large altenew blending brush, and I'm just basically working my way through the colours and filling up a panel that's larger than the embossing folder. I do come back in between the layers of colour and reblend. How beautiful is that? Okay, so we're going to do some embossing again, but this time I'm flipping the embossing folder over. So I'm using the debossing side, so the reverse. It is going to flip the pattern. I did spritz. This is just Nina cardstock, so I did a light spritz, probably not quite enough because there was one or two spots that showed a little bit of cracking. I was afraid to go too heavy with the water, but next time I'll know. And because this is such a debossed pattern, I have used the ultra sticky, the 1/2 inch from Altenew, their tape. That's just going to give more stick to the front of my side fold card. It's an A2 card. And then I'm layering up another sentiment from Very Clean and Simple. I'm just going to add some liquid glue to hold that in place. Like I said, this is quite a debossed 3D pattern here, so I want to make sure that the pieces that do touch the cardstock are going to have a strong adherence. Is that a word? Glue. So liquid glue usually works really well, and it gives me some time to kind of move it around and make sure I'm happy with the placement. I've added a sub sentiment here, which I did only layer up a couple of times so it doesn't sit as high as the first sentiment, which had 4 layers, and that's from the Sweet Sentiments die set. So look at that dimension, it's just awesome, and those beautiful Frozen Delights colour. I got to say, I think this one's my favourite today. Pencils, it was a fun technique to do in the stencil. I'd like to know which one's your favourite today. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me. Till next time, bye.